A new medical marijuana dispensary is coming to northern Sarasota County. I'll tell you when its doors are opening just ahead.
And a group of teens who survived a school shooting bring their message to the Suncoast.
Plus, how the nation is reacting tonight to the controversial travel ban decision. Your Suncoast News starts now.
You're watching ABC7 News at 5.
Good evening, I'm Jacqueline Matter.
I'm Scott Dennis. Thanks so much for being with us tonight. Topping our news this evening, northern Sarasota County getting its first medical marijuana dispensary. Opening day now just a few weeks away.
That dispensary will sit right along Fruitville Road near the Richardson Way intersection in between Jets Pizza and Golden Vision. That's where ABC7's Jess Dowdrick joins us now live with more details. Jess?
Jacqueline, Scott, right now if you live in northern Sarasota County, the closest dispensary to you is in Bradenton or in Venice. So that's a good 30 to 40-minute drive. But come August, when this dispensary opens, that will all change.
It helps to calm him down.
Luigi Costello is a caregiver for his 17-year-old son who suffers from severe anxiety.
Before we did this, we had to wean him off of some really nasty, hardcore pharmaceuticals that had a lot of side effects.
Costello says cannabis makes a world of difference, but he has to make a 40-minute drive to Bradenton to get it.
So this is about 10 minutes from our house. Those of us that are caregivers and patients, there's a lot of patients in this neighborhood, we're really happy that this is going to open.
OltMed Florida is opening 25 dispensaries, including this one across the state. This dispensary in Ruskin just opening on Saturday, 4 years in the making. OltMed's Karen Quick says Sarasota's dispensary will look and work the same way.
We're really excited. I can't tell you how many calls we get on a daily basis from patients asking when we're going to open.
OltMed's dispensaries, called Move, offer vaping products, inhalers, patches, topicals, and oral medication.
So if, for example, you had Parkinson's, you may want to take a product like our transdermal patch because it lasts for 72 hours. Whereas if you have acute pain, you may want to take our transdermal gel.
There are consultants at each location that match you with an appropriate product, but you must have a state-issued patient identification card from a doctor. This was Gina Cooper's first time to a Move dispensary. It took her about 15 minutes to get matched with a product and head home to try it.
Medical marijuana is really my final option to get some pain relief, and fortunately the legislature seemed fit to give us a chance at that.
Construction is wrapping up on this dispensary here behind me. Again, OltMed expects the doors to open in early August. There's no date set yet. Now, there are two other medical marijuana dispensaries in the works in Sarasota County right now. One has already been approved by the county commission. That will be in the Venice area. And there's a proposed one in the Sarasota Commons area right off of Beneva Road. The city has not yet given that one the go-ahead. Reporting live in Sarasota, Jess Dowdrick, ABC7, your Suncoast News.
Jess, thank you. New at 5, after an internal investigation, a Northport assistant police chief relieved of his duties last week. Investigators say on 2 separate occasions, Michael Pelfrey was given orders that he intentionally disobeyed upon lying about it to the chief. Pelfrey filed a suit through the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. The city's attorney's office will now further handle this case. A trial date is now set for a Bradenton man facing charges in the murder of an elderly woman he was caring for. Barack Posas is charged with killing Joan DeMeo. Her body was found in the carport of her Royal Garden Estate home off Cortez Road in April. Shortly after finding DeMeo, Posas was questioned and arrested. He lived with her and was said to be her caretaker. He'll face trial in June of next year.
For the next 2 days, school shooting survivors from Parkland, Florida will be holding rallies on the Suncoast to try to get more young people out to vote. The students from March for Our Lives are taking their appeal directly to voters. Since that big march in Washington, these students have been working to maintain momentum. They are now in the middle of a month-long voter registration tour called Road to Change between now and August 1st. The goal is to visit all 27 of Florida's congressional districts.
We're trying to put their faith back in the government and say, hey, you can make this change, you can change the world. All you need to do is vote and have your voice heard.
Besides voter registration, the students are also focusing on gun control and candidates that are supported by the National Rifle Association. And tomorrow, that tour will be in Sarasota at Selby Public Library from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Students, city officials, and organizers will be discussing gun laws and gun reform. Organizers say the community will have a chance to register to vote at a tent before that live panel discussion begins.
Tonight's the final community discussion about permanently closing Sarasota School Avenue. Last month, the city approved the school board's request to close it when Sarasota High School is in session, and now the commission will consider closing that section for good. The road cuts directly through the middle of the Sarasota High School campus. Supporters say it's safer to just close the road permanently, but some neighbors say it's overkill to shut down that road full time. The school district says even when classes are not in session, there's still plenty of extracurricular activity on campus. District officials hope they can appease neighbors with some aesthetic improvements.
We're going to find a place that we can really work with the community that we can enhance the bike and pedestrian accessibility around the campus so that it's an asset and it's not just a sidewalk, but we're looking at benches, we're looking at shade cover, we're looking at some alternative routes around the campus.
There's no word yet if that'll be good enough for opponents who do not want that road closed in the first place. Tonight's meeting begins at 6 in the high school's cafeteria.
Pretty quiet day here on the Suncoast, but you could certainly feel that heat outside. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob?
You know, the last couple of nights, it's been pretty nice with the rain falling and then the rain moving out of here. Temperatures have been dropping down to the mid-70s. We can say goodbye to that, it looks like, over the next several days as low temperatures will struggle to get below 80 degrees for the most part, and that's a result of this big H here. High pressure ridge, which has been pretty much over the top of us, will again fall to the south and be pushed down there by a trough of low pressure over the southeast United States. As that happens, we go back into that pattern we saw last week with mainly inland and afternoon storms pushing toward the east coast late in the day. And there's always that possibility of 1 or 2 lone showers popping up due to the land breeze overnight. But for the time being, not much going on out there. Some big storms to the north of us right now and down to the south near Lake Okeechobee, the lake breeze and also the sea breeze kind of mixing right there and causing those storms to really fire up. But for us, all the activity is east of I-75. Now, as I said, these storms will generate some outflow boundaries, which will in turn possibly create a few isolated cells. Isolated, the key word there, through this evening. Not much of a chance for rain over most neighborhoods here along the west coast of Florida. More in your weather forecast and an update on the tropics coming up in a few minutes. Back to you.
Thanks, Bob. Now to an historic but sharply divided ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court. The court upholding President Trump's controversial travel ban on several Muslim-majority countries. ABC's Tara Palmieri shows us how lawmakers and members of Muslim communities are now reacting.
President Trump taking a bow after the Supreme Court ruled that its controversial travel ban is illegal.
A tremendous victory for the American people.
By a narrow 5-4 margin, the court upholding the ban, saying the president has the power to regulate immigration.
Imagine, if you can, that Congress is unable to act when the president asks for legislation. 5
of the countries named in the ban are Muslim majority, but the latest version of the order also includes North Korea and Venezuela.
At a minimum, we have to make sure that we vet people coming into the country. We know who's coming in. We know where they're coming from.
President Trump issued the first version of the travel ban weeks after taking office. The hasty rollout caused chaos at the airports. The court ruled on the third iteration of the travel ban, issued in September 2017. The president's comments during the campaign complicating the matter.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States.
Justice Sotomayor reading her joint dissent with Justice Ginsburg out loud, conveying their strong opposition to the ruling, saying, quote, "Our Constitution demands and our country deserves a judiciary willing to hold the coordinate branches to account when they defy our most sacred legal commitments. The court's decision today has failed in that respect."
Shame on you to take us back decades ago to the dark ages.
Now that the executive order has been ruled legal, President Trump says he has no intention of expanding it to include other countries. Tara Palmieri, ABC News, Washington.
A bill that would restore health coverage for thousands of veterans who were possibly exposed to the toxic chemical Agent Orange is moving forward in Washington. The U.S. House approving the bill, which is co-sponsored by Suncoast Congressman Vern Buchanan. The measure would provide VA health benefits for nearly 90,000 Navy veterans who served on ships in ports off the coast of Vietnam during the war. Those veterans were eligible to receive benefits under the Agent Orange Act of 1991, but their eligibility was discontinued in 2002 by the Department of Veterans Affairs. A companion bill has been introduced in the Senate.
Coming up, more red flag warnings on the horizon tonight as large wildfires burn across the west.
And Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan will be back with an update on the tropics. Plus, the mosquito-borne Keystone virus has been detected here in Florida for the first time. What researchers say to look out for if infected.
Thank you.
You are the best protection she has. Buddy up. I'm Jill Harrington. Please visit helpsavethenextgirl.com and get involved.
Get to Sunset Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Sarasota for big savings during the Jeep Celebration event. Shop the area's largest selection of new 2018 Jeep Wranglers, or get the most awarded SUV of all time, a new Jeep Cherokee, for as little as $19,999. Find the path to your next great adventure in the all-new Jeep Compass for just $17,999. Better prices, bigger selection. Go to Sunset Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Sarasota.
There's nothing like this trail in Alabama. It just goes from the northern part of the state to the southern part of the state. We see all kind of different terrains, great value, great fun. We've been coming for 18 years. We started off with a group of 8, grew to 12, and grew to 16. And we love it because where else can you get world-class golf courses with world-class accommodations? To be able to play these type of courses in this environment, and the difficulty keeps us coming back over and over and over again.
Designers do it with style.
Tell me what's going on here. Because
well, you don't like my hair?
The Mark and Mandy Show. In-depth design ideas.
What is up with the tuck tape here? Let's cover it up.
Amazing beauty and fashion tips.
So Halle Berry has amazing skin. Her secret is coffee grounds.
No.
Delicious recipes.
Today, I'm going to show you a special dish that is sure to please that special someone in your life.
Watch The Mark and Mandy Show right here on your favorite channel.
Chris Domine is a husband, father, an athlete, even an Ironman. But 10 years ago, Chris's kidneys were failing.
The doctor said if you don't do dialysis, if you don't get a kidney transplant, you are going to die.
Then Chris received a second chance, made possible by an organ donor.
Your well-being changes from loss of hope to better times ahead.
Imagine what you could make possible. Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov.
Ever since I can remember, I've been intrigued by industrial design and the optimization.
Wait, that's passion? Ever since I can remember, my passion has been industrial design. We need 3D printers for Miss Adams' engineering program so that we are ready to solve 21st century challenges.
Impressive. Think It Up is a new initiative to support student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classroom today? Think It Up.
Wildfires in the west intensifying. Flames fueled by shifting winds swallowing homes in Lake County, California. A state of emergency issued there as the Pawnee fire jumps to 11,500 acres and continues to threaten homes. So far, that fire just 5% contained. ABC's Natalie Brunel shows us how fire crews are battling the blaze.
Flames continue to ravage Lake County, California.
I can feel the heat.
As the Pawnee fire forces more evacuations.
I've just probably lost everything I've ever had in my life.
Residents here no strangers to wildfires, having close calls in the past.
It's getting pretty close.
I hate to say we're almost used to it.
But this blaze, fanned by strong winds, has been erratic, catching many off guard.
The past 24 hours has just been scary as heck. 1 minute we're leaving, 1 minute we're staying.
We're dealing just with a weather pattern that is
pushing the firefighters to the extreme.
Fire crews relying heavily on aircraft to douse the terrain below.
Oh, this is bad.
This young fire season proving just as volatile as last year's, which was the most destructive in California's history.
It just makes everybody uneasy, and there's not a season anymore. It's all year long.
The Pawnee Inferno devouring more than 20 structures, including Katie Brogan's home. Her husband tried to go back after evacuating Saturday, but it was already too late.
He went back to get his insulin pen, and there was no home. It was just gone.
Even though the fire is moving away from populated areas, mandatory evacuations remain in place, and it could be days before people can return home. Natalie Brunell, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Closer to home, a group of manatees are back at sea after getting beached on Florida's East Coast Monday. This happened at Smyrna Dunes Park in Volusia County. That's just south of Daytona Beach. Florida Fish and Wildlife said at least 2 of the animals came on shore and then couldn't swim back out. Crews were able to get the manatees safely back into the water.
Sarasota police posting these photos to Twitter today to show the high tide this morning on Lido Beach. SPD says this is what the beach area will look like for the upcoming powerboat Grand Prix races this weekend. To protect wildlife and sand dunes, police say beachgoers can set up after sunrise. Between that and the amount of people that are going to be out there, not a whole lot of area.
Yeah, close quarters for a lot of people, looks like right there, so patience will be needed. The news is that the thunderstorms will be around in the afternoon and evening, so hopefully after the races are over, they'll come and the people are off the beaches. And keep that in mind, too. You want to download the ABC7 weather app, which will show you how far the lightning is from your area, and you can seek shelter, obviously, as quickly as possible. Well, no lightning around on the area beaches today. A little bit of a reprieve there for beachgoers, and it looks like it'll stay that way for the most part. High pressure continues to be the dominating weather feature right now. Over our area, it is slipping southward, as I showed you earlier, and that's going to change things up a bit for the next couple of days at least. Well, in the tropics, let's get to that real quickly and show you that the chances now at 10% for this to develop, not much. And it's going to not be a true tropical system. If it were to develop in 5 days, that chance is at 20%. And it'll be off the Carolina coast as an area of low pressure tries to develop. But notice the motion of that movement will be off to the northeast away from land. So that would be a good storm, the ones that just stay out there to sea. And it looks as though things are going to stay relatively quiet for us here in Florida. We'll watch this system again as it develops in the trough of the jet stream there, and the surface pressures are starting to lower a little bit, and there's still quite a bit of shear going on. That's the reason why the chances aren't all that strong for that to pop up very quickly. Well, nothing going on in the deep tropics. All is quiet there, and that's a result of a lot of African dust that has enveloped much of the Atlantic right now in the main development region. The only problem with this is that we don't have a lot of dust over the Caribbean. We got a little bit of dry air over the Gulf of Mexico right now. But, you know, Mother Nature wants to balance out the heat excess in the tropics. And with all this dust around, it's not going to be able to do that there. But in the Caribbean, a different story. So that's the area we have to kind of keep an eye on, I think, over the upcoming couple of months at least. And get this, the main development region, this is the coast of Africa here, right through this region, is well below what it was this time last year. So we are not anticipating anything like we saw last year in terms of those intense major hurricanes developing from this area. Temperatures in the mid 70s there and into the upper 70s, where last year at this time these were into the mid 80s. And this isn't going to change overnight. It's going to take a couple of months at least if it were to change at all. And temperatures still staying relatively cool throughout that area all the way to the Caribbean. But then notice what happens here. And as I said, Mother Nature has to get rid of the excessive heat, and this could be the favorite area. We don't like that because those storms have a tendency to impact the United States as well as Florida. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. Right now, not many storms impacting the coast. Most of that action inland, pushing off to the north and east. Not moving all that fast because of that ridge of high pressure, which is right over the top of us. This one just starting to generate lightning. In fact, just in the last 10 minutes, I again showed this cell that is starting to develop that lightning right there near Bethany and Verna, and the height just went above 30,000 feet. I just queried this about 5-10 minutes ago, and it was just at 30,000. Once they reach that level, that's a crucial level, and that's when the lightning starts to generate. It usually only takes about 20 minutes for that to happen. Not much rain at all near the coast. All is quiet there, and rainfall amounts, estimates from the Doppler radar site, not very impressive today. South winds turn to the west tomorrow for boaters at 5 to 10 knots. Seas will be 1 to 2 feet, and a light chop on the bays and inland waters. A 7-day forecast then. Not much of a chance tomorrow. There may be an isolated coastal shower. And then a 40% chance of rain on Thursday, but most of that should be east of the interstate, pushing off toward the east. And Friday, similar conditions, a little bit more moisture coming into play. By the weekend, though, we start to see that transition back toward the coast in the late afternoon and evening on both Saturday and Sunday. Better chances for rain over the weekend. Back to you.
All right, Bob, thanks so much. Let's check first alert traffic. The right lane of 41 northbound is blocked to a stalled vehicle. This is at Haven Boulevard in Palmetto. This is causing some congestion on 41 until you get past that area. Southbound lanes are also backed up a little bit as you head over the DeSoto Bridge tonight. Jacqueline?
Thanks, Scott. In health news tonight, the mosquito-borne Keystone virus has been detected in a person for the first time. A teenage boy in North Florida went to an emergency care center suffering a rash and a mild fever in August of 2016, but he did not test positive for Zika or related viruses. Researchers say it took a year and a half to figure out what the virus was. It was the first case of a human testing positive for the Keystone virus since it was discovered in 1964 in Keystone, which is in the Tampa Bay area. The Keystone virus has the potential to cause encephalitis, though the teen who was infected did not suffer from brain swelling. For the first time in the world, researchers in Sweden have found that probiotics can be used to affect the human skeleton. Among older women who took probiotics, bone loss was cut in half compared to women who received only a placebo. Osteoporosis is characterized by porous and weak bones, which can cause them to break easily. A majority of women over the age of 80 have the disease. The research opens the door to a new way to prevent fractures among the elderly. Coming up, a young boy gets stuck in an AC unit on a high-rise, how firefighters were able to get him to safety. Plus, where this man took a high-speed ride on the hood of a car. Those stories straight ahead.
If you don't want to fall immediately into love, look away. If you don't want to awaken a desire for excellence, look away. If you don't want to be seduced, please look away.
Rediscover your passion for driving at Sunset Maserati Alfa Romeo of Sarasota.
I took my first handful of pills, and that's when all my priorities seemed to change.
He would ask to use the bathroom in other people's homes.
He just assumed that they would have medication.
He'd go in their medicine cabinets and steal prescription drugs.
I wish I knew really what these prescription pills were.
We were so naive about the whole drug thing.
These are all synthetic forms of heroin.
Keep your medication locked up because you'll never notice that a pill is gone.
Mind your meds. Learn more from the Partnership for Drug-Free Kids.
So I kind of grew up all across the country. I come from 5 generations of military men. My dad is still active duty. My grandpa is retired Marines. I like going for runs with my dog. I love, taking her out to the dog beach over in Venice. There are so many things here to do on the Suncoast. My goal every day when I come into work at ABC7 is to tell your stories, give you that major local news and those details that you really care about. I'm Jacqueline Matter, and I'm here for you.
I think about my own family and I think about my own kids' dream, and I see these kids' dream.
There's something about dance that just is universal and just speaks to everybody.
Every day some student makes a breakthrough, discovers something.
Teaching is about giving. It's a different kind of giving. When I teach, I know it's a gift that I'm giving.
Sarasota Oxygen and CPAP is the largest locally owned CPAP supply company in the area. Is it time to replace your old equipment? The staff at Sarasota Oxygen and CPAP can show you the most up-to-date CPAP equipment and supplies to meet your sleep apnea needs, including portable travel devices and the SoClean automatic CPAP sanitizer. We serve all of Southwest Florida, giving the highest quality of care with the finest CPAP equipment. Please visit our website, sarasotacpap.com.
The skills you develop as a soldier in the Army National Guard can give you a head start on your career. Gain practical experience with technology and equipment that will give you a leg up in the civilian world. Learn critical leadership skills and to be part of a team. Serve your community and your country part-time while earning money for an education. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn about the paid training and career opportunities available to you in the Army National Guard.
An airplane took off at an Orlando airport runway and ended up in this ditch. Airport officials say the plane failed to gain any sufficient airspeed after takeoff Monday morning. The plane was carrying 4 people, including the pilot, when it lost power and crashed into that drainage ditch. No one was hurt. The nose of the plane ended up in the water. Fire officials said a hazmat team contained a fuel leak, preventing any runoff. A young boy is rescued from an AC unit outside of a high-rise in China. This boy was stranded and unable to move on the narrow space. A firefighter climbed out and tied a safety belt around the boy, helping him crawl toward the window, while another firefighter inside the room eventually brought him inside. Fortunately, that boy was not hurt. Take a look at this only in Miami moment, it's being called. Caught on camera. A man was seen riding the hood of a car while traveling down I-95 in Miami. While the man was sprawled out on that hood, the car was hitting speeds of 70 miles an hour. He was apparently, at one point, talking on the phone with the woman driving the car. The vehicle eventually exited the highway. No one knows yet why this man was risking his life.
A wedding celebration goes terribly wrong. At least 17 wedding guests had to run for their lives with only the clothes on their backs. This is what's left of the Benatar home in Maryland. The garage destroyed, the upstairs gutted, $400,000 left behind in damage. These pictures from Montgomery County Fire and Rescue show the flames. The couple had already had a courthouse wedding, but this celebration was to be with their family. And even after all that chaos, the wedding still went on. Well, firefighters often risk their lives to help others, but sometimes they respond to stress-free calls. On Sunday, a group of North Carolina firefighters stopped by a house in Charlotte where they saw a family struggling to fill a kiddie swimming pool up with cooking pots for a birthday party. So the crew provided the water on that sweltering day and left behind some good memories for those children. Still to come on your Suncoast News, new developments in the Parkland school shooting, why a school security monitor has been dismissed from his job, and another big sporting announcement for the Suncoast, the next big event coming to Nathan Benderson Park.
You want a Maserati, but you need an SUV. Why not have both? Levante, the Maserati of SUVs.
Experience it at Sunset Maserati Alfa Romeo of Sarasota.
Who else has been taking your prescriptions? Keep your medicine and your family safe and secure. Mind your meds. To learn how we can help, visit the Partnership for Drug-Free Kids at drugfree.org.
Northland Outdoors is about so much more than the biggest fish or the hottest hunting spots. All across the Northland, there are amazing people with incredible stories to tell. We're going to find those stories and share them with everyone. Join us each and every week as we explore the Northland and experience some of the most exciting outdoor adventures in the country right here in our own backyard. This is Northland Outdoors.
We've all heard how military veterans adjusting to the civilian world may have certain issues.
30. 70.
If only everyone had this issue. No matter what challenge they face, Easter Seals is here for America's veterans.
Florida Studio Theater presents Always Patsy Cline, extended due to popular demand. A tuneful tribute, the story of Patsy's rise to stardom is told by her biggest fan. Featuring such hit songs as Walkin' After Midnight, I Fall to Pieces, Crazy, and many more you know and love. Critics are calling Always Patsy Cline a genuine hit. Audiences are calling it outstanding. Always Patsy Cline is now playing. Tickets can be purchased at 941-366-9000 or floridastudiotheater.org.
Imagine a world
filled with pillow fights, playgrounds, and the search for the perfect climbing tree. Every kid deserves that world, but 1 in 5 kids in America struggle with hunger. At No Kid Hungry, we're committed to creating a world where every kid eats healthy food every day. We raise funds, we help families, and we lift up communities.